So new problem, and we're going to approach this in the same way that we typically do, reading that question sentence first. So let's focus up on what we can here, and it says, what was the fourth distance? Okay, so with that said, the fourth distance, that doesn't really tell us much, right? That just says fourth distance. No real math is really attached to that. So we really need the context first. So it says here that we have 4 driving distances, and those four driving distances have a mean of 36 miles. 3 trips were 32 miles, 41 miles, and 35 miles. And we don't have that fourth distance. And again, that's what we're trying to find. So what we have here is the mean given to us. So let's highlight that. 36 miles right there. And then from here, we'll go ahead and write down the 4 distances with the 1 missing. So we can just say X for one of them. And then we have 32, 41, and 35. So let's go ahead and ponder this. If we were trying to calculate the mean, what we would be doing is adding all of these up and then dividing by how many numbers, everybody? Is it 3 because we only have 3 values, or would we be dividing by 4? Which one is it going to be again? Yeah, it's going to be 4. Even though one of the values isn't shown, it's understood that we are dealing with 4 distances. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, making sure that that's very clear here that we would be dividing by 4. Now, right there. So when we think about this, since we're looking for a missing value, we're working backwards. So instead of adding everything up and dividing by the number of numbers, we're going to take that mean and we're going to work backwards by multiplying by 4 and then subtracting the values we have to find that missing value. So it all comes from the formula mean equals total divided by count. So we're going to go ahead and instead multiply by the count and then subtract from that total. So let's go ahead and get that done, everybody. We have the mean being 36. We have the total right there. And then we have 4 is what we're dividing by. So let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. We'll multiply by 4 on both sides right there. 36 multiplied by 4, we can do that on the side. 6 times 4 is 24, carry the 2. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 2 is 14. So we have 144 equals the total. And remember, everybody, the total is going to be all of those values added up, including the X, including the missing value. So we can replace that over here. 144 equals X plus 32 plus 41 plus 35. We can add these 3 values up together just to give ourselves an easier time. 40, let me grab the laser pointer. So 40 plus 30 plus 30, that's actually going to be 100. It's pretty convenient there. Because again, 30 plus 30 is 60. 60 plus 40 is 100. So then we can continue on by saying 105, 106, and then 108. Nice little convenient mental math to make life a little easier. So let's go ahead and make a little more room for ourselves. Bring this up and let's finish things nice and clean. So we have X plus 108. That's 144. And then just subtract 108 on both sides. And we are done. Cancels out here on the right side. And then 144 minus 108 gives us 36. So coincidentally, the missing value was also the mean, but the correct answer here is going to be B, 36 miles. And there we are. All right, so let's tackle this question here. And the question reads, find the mean of 12, 15, 19, 22, 24, and 18. So when we think about calculating mean, we should always immediately think about that formula, which is going to be mean equals the total divided by the count. We'll take the total and divide by that count. And what we mean by that is the total is adding all of these values up. And the count is going to be the number of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll go ahead and write that down right over here. Divide that by 6. And up here, we need to add all of these values up. So once we do that, let's go ahead and write these out. We have 12, 15, 19, 22, 24, and 18. When I see all of these, I like to think about ways that I can take less time calculating. And what I mean by that is I take a look at the 12 and the 18 together. Everybody, when we think of 12 and 18 together, I like this pair because the 2 and the 8, that makes a 10. So we have 10, 20, and then the 2 plus 8 makes another 10, which is 30. So again, those are things that I look for when I try to calculate with mental math. So I'll go ahead and move these over here and kind of replace that with 30 in my head. Next up, the rest of it, there are fancy ways, fancy approaches that we can use to use some more mental math here, but if that's a little overwhelming for you, no problem at all. We can just go ahead and take the rest and just add that up the normal way, and we'll continue as normal. So 15, 19, 22, and 24, not a problem. Just remember that at the end, we'll just tack on that extra 30. But here we have 5 plus 9, which is 14. 14 plus 2, that's going to be 16. And then 16 plus 4, that's going to end up being 20. So there we are. So just recount that. So that's 14, 16, and 20. Put that 2 right there to carry it over. Then we have 2 plus 1 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 80. We'll tack on that 30 that we had earlier, and that's 110. So again, we tacked on that 30 from before because we just calculated the 12 and 18 beforehand mentally. So we had less to deal with, because I think we might agree that if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 adding all up at the same time, that'd be a little much, right? That'd be a little much. So all we did was just save ourselves a couple of moments by adding the 12 and 18 in our heads beforehand. So that way we can just tack that on at the end. So either way, we could have got the 110. So let's write that down right over here. So the last thing that we have to do here is, hey, we're just going to divide 110 by 6. So let's move this over. 6 going into 110. 6 goes into 11. That's going to be once. We'll subtract 6, giving us 5 left over. Drop that 0, giving us 50. And then we'll go ahead and do 6 going into 50, and that will be 8. So then from there, 8 times 6 is 48, giving us 2 left over. And from here, we actually don't really need to do any more work because we know that there's going to be more work to do in terms of bringing this decimal on board and then getting more. So everybody, is it going to be a perfect 18, or do we believe that it's going to be a decimal or a partial of 18? Even before we do the work, I think we can all see that, yeah, it's going to be a partial. We don't have a clean division. There is a remainder. So if we continue, we'll see, hey, 6 goes into 20 3 times, and there's that 3 that we see right there. So we don't even need to continue. We don't even need to confirm that other 3. We know that the answer here is D, where 18.3 repeating, or 18.33, is going to be the mean of this set.